Health services for women are expanding at St. Anthony's Shrine in downtown Boston. That's because of a 10-year grant from the Cummings Foundation. To tell us about the health clinic and the people it serves are two guests from the Shrine, the Executive Director, Father Tom Conway, and the Director of Outreach Programs, Mary Ann Ponti. Thank you both very much for being with us. I'll start with Father Conway. This is a $500,000 grant over 10 years, and this is the largest you've ever had. What does that say about these services?
It says that the Cummings Foundation came in and really took a hard look at what we do and what our proposal was. Listen to folks like Mary Ann Ponti talk about some of the work that she does, and we're just really impressed, and we're grateful, very grateful to the Cummings Foundation, but we're somewhat, we didn't know we were going to get this, so this was a possibility for us. So we're a little bit taken aback by the whole thing as well.
Mary Ann, why have this kind of service where you have it almost right around the corner from downtown Crossing?
Well, there are many vulnerable homeless women in downtown Boston, really all over the place. And the numbers through the years have gone up, with one of the contributing factors being the opioid crisis. So it's definitely a good place to have it, because we come across women on the street quite often.
Now, you see these women when you're going through a rough patch or even a crisis, but what kind of people are they? I mean, these are people who've had a past and they have a future, and it could be quite different too, couldn't it?
Absolutely. Everyone has a different story that comes through the door. Many have experienced trauma at some point throughout their life, or still in major crisis, substance abuse, possibly prostitution, being in abusive relationships, whatever it may be. But we work with them, and they can continue to come to the clinic as long as they'd like.
Father Trump, what about the environment at the Shrine? I mean, when I first got to know it as a kid, it was this unlikely island of tranquility. It doesn't sound at first like the kind of place that people, flock to get help.
So women can go other places for medical care, but they tend to be either not as convenient and not as quiet. It's a quiet environment. It's very appealing for a woman who's been traumatized to come into a quiet space where they know they're going to be safe. We give individual attention. They spend much more time with these folks than they might in another clinic. So we're just really happy with this partnership we have with Boston Healthcare for the Homeless, and we're grateful for the good work that Mary Ann and Andre are doing.
Mary Ann, why is that quiet so important to women?
They're entering an extremely quiet and calm and peaceful place, which really is the exact opposite of what they're experiencing in their everyday life, which is very often complete chaos.
Now, you take part in the outreach. What's that like exactly?
Well, we'll go out in the morning before the clinic opens, and we will take different routes around the neighborhood. This week we have focused on the Chinatown neighborhood, and we'll look for people. Some of them will come across that we already know, and we remind them that it's a clinic day, and then we'll run into, like this morning, we ran into a person that hadn't been to the clinic yet, and we get to know her and give her information, and we were thrilled that she showed up an hour later.
Well, Tom, I saw a figure that something like 25% of the homeless people in Boston are women. I know about Rosie's Place, but I don't know about many other places where women can get treated separately.
Right. I'll let Mary Ann talk about Boston Healthcare for the Homeless a little bit.
There is a clinic at St. Francis House in downtown. It's co-ed, but it is right next to a separate room where women can sit in a women's center.
But why is it important for women as opposed to being to a place where, there are other kinds of people around?
Well, it's very important for women to be able to get away from whatever they may be with. That meaning maybe they're a drug dealer, maybe they're a pimp, maybe there's someone that they're in a relationship with. And they need to be in a different environment that's peaceful and calm, and they can really collect themselves and make goals for themselves. And oftentimes women do. We have a young lady who made a lengthy list of her goals, and she called us the other day she's inpatient right now at Mass General, and she said, "You can check that one off the list, please."
This has been the news. We're talking with Father Tom Conway and Mary Ann Ponti from St. Anthony's Shrine. Father Tom, you have this grant helping you explain what's going to be changing in the clinic with that.
So one of the big things is that we're going to add a shower in the clinic. And so this is just a huge thing, really to help women feel more comfortable being examined, that they're going to be clean. And also it's a little bit of an enticement to get them to come into the clinic. So we're trying to figure out ways to get people that haven't been in the clinic to come in, or people who are regularly coming to the clinic to come in for a follow-up visit. So that's one thing, is the shower. The other thing is that we're going to have an RN as part of it. Up till now we've had a nurse practitioner, and so to add an RN, basically help her to deal with the increased caseload that we have. It's just getting more popular, it's catching on, and so we're happy about that, but we're just going to add people to this mix as well. And Mary Ann is a certified alcohol counselor, and so we're also going to add Mary Ann's time down there as well.
Mary Ann, what about just the fact that this is a safe space where people can have some human connection? How important is that to their progress toward recovery?
It's very important. We have a waiting room where if a woman just wants to come in and rest for an hour or 2 or 3, they can do that. They're gathering their thoughts, they're resting, they're becoming a different person within those couple hours because they're able to rest safely. Oftentimes these women sleep outside at night and they have to have their eyes in the back of their head all night long. So they know that they're safe, they know that there are no men allowed, and we have extra security to ensure that.
Because I imagine one of the other important missions here is that this is not a place where you're going to take care of all of their problems, but you want to be a bridge to other places that can help them even more. How does that work exactly?
We are able to serve the whole woman in the sense that she can get medical attention there. Her substance abuse issues can be worked on, and she can get information and get referrals to anything from dentistry to mental health to whatever else she might need. That including housing and anything else that might put her in the right direction.
Father Tom, what's also interesting about the grant, this is what's called, I guess, a sustaining grant. So it's in there for 10 years. How does that help you?
Just to not have to worry about where the funding is going to come for this, and so to be able to commit space, change space as we need to, just to not have to worry about that piece of the funding. It also gives us some credibility, to tell you the truth, with other family foundations. They look and see what Cummings is doing and say, hey, gee, Cummings Foundation looked at this organization, took a hard look at it, like what they saw, they're doing a good job. Maybe our family foundation should look at this. And so that's also, it's just helpful in terms of putting us on the map a little bit with family foundations, which we haven't done a lot of work with in the past.
Thank you both very much, Father Tom Conway and Mary Ann Ponti from St. Anthony's Shrine.